Check my eyebrows. Check my eyebrows. And we are... Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us back on the stage if you're up here. Sorry, we just decided to move this over to the main stage just to leave the sessions room a little clearer for some of the upcoming things that we got going on, like conversations with convention centers. To my left right now is my colleague, Scott. He has been working with me for over a year now and has been
in the same room, to the left of the screen.
Yeah, to the left of the screen. But yeah, I shouldn't say not in the same room. We are being very safe and socially distant. But Scott has been working with me for over a year and has been instrumental in taking us virtual. No one knows the back end of the platforms better than this man. He is quite knowledgeable, and he will be leading us through this demo. If there's any questions that you have as we move along, please just feel free to reach out on the stage chat, and we'll answer it right away. No waiting to the end here. So without further ado, I'd like to begin this presentation off by welcoming you all to Hopin. So this is what we've been using for the last 2 hours now, just over 2 hours. And if you've been on us for the whole time, that means we've done our job by making you stick. So where we are right now is the main stage. And if you can see what's awesome about the main stage is it has its own particular chat. What's also great is it's got a backstage area. So Scott and myself were talking about this prior to coming on here and prior to going live. It gives you the ability to bring on your speakers. And I talked a little bit about this during my presentation, but I can bring on speakers, make sure their audio and video is working prior to sending them over to a session or prior to sending them out to the stage. This is a really good thing for us. It eliminates a lot of the technical issues that you're seeing from some of these live online events where people are coming unprepared, especially when you're talking about a system like Zoom, where you're basically pushed right onto the screen. You don't really have that time to prep. We also bring our session speakers on 5 minutes before to their session. So again, same thing. It just gives you that ability to check it out. What's also really cool is you can have up to 100,000 people view this stream. So we can host up to 100,000 people inside this platform and on this stage. The other really cool thing is I can push this stream out. I didn't do it today, but I could push this stream out to YouTube or to Facebook Live to increase my message and increase my reach. So again, if you're doing a show where it's general audience free and you want to let as many people know that you're doing the event and you're live, that's another great way to do it. It really pushes out your KPIs to beyond what you were able to do beforehand. Another great feature is everything that we're doing here is being recorded. So anything in the sessions, anything inside the stage is all recorded and available to us right at the end of the event that we will also be sharing with you on YouTube, as I've mentioned a couple times. But for some of the other events out there, you're creating great content. So it's great to use for afterwards. I've also seen some people be very creative. You also have the ability to share screen, as many of you saw me. We can have up to 5 people on this stage at any given time. So we could have a panel of 4 people, and then, it's really easy to use. Scott, did you want to jump in if I'm leaving anything out?
No problem at all. So that definitely covers the stage and the capabilities of the stage. I'll probably just take it back even a further step. One of the positive things about Hopin is once you're in the platform, it is very easy to navigate. One of the challenges that we have found with a couple of our events is the registration process. So it's a little bit more, you've got to sign in, have an account to do that process before, which you all did and you all managed to do. So it's not rocket science, but it's just that one extra step that we sort of noticed that is an extra hurdle to get over. So yeah, once people have registered, once you're inside the platform, we've found it doesn't take long to familiarize yourself and then be able to use like all the capabilities that the platform has to offer. Where people land to start with, and where I'm sure you all landed at the start, was that reception area. That reception area has got the schedule there, which I noticed. I think Bruce, a few other people had sort of pointed a couple other people in the right direction to see, what's coming up, what's live at the moment. You'll see in that reception area that that they will highlight those boxes that are live at the moment, which is a pretty cool feature on that front there. I'll sort of continue to do a sort of a brief overview of the platform and its capabilities. Mikey's has gone into depth, and he also did this in his other presentation prior as well, a bit of the strengths and weaknesses. So there might be a bit of crossover. So Mikey's gone into depth with the stage. So I don't have too much more to add to that front there. I'll move down to the sessions, which I'm sure you've all sort of gone and listened into, a couple of the sessions today. The main difference between the sessions and the stage here is the fact that you can have up to 20 people on the screen at any one time. So you're able to, and as Mikey's just demonstrating now, a session that's on live at the moment, you're able to bring people up onto screen. So Jodie herself, she's doing a presentation at the moment, which is very much sort of a lecture style. So you can definitely do a lecture style and not bring anyone up onto screen. But she also has that capability there that if people did want to join her up on stage, ask a question, like a couple of the sessions prior to Jodie's, people have the ability to come up onto stage and you're able to engage in that conversation. Jodie, for this example here, Jodie is the moderator, and you might see just at the bottom section of our panel where Mikey's got his cursor there. That's a moderation panel. So if anyone wants to join Jodie up on stage, they will appear into that spot. Their initials or their photo will appear there, and then Jodie will be able to click and allow them to come up onto stage. Or if she doesn't want that person on stage, she'll just leave them sitting there, essentially. So once again, it gives that person who's the owner of the session or the speaker of the session that full capability there to have complete control. People won't be able to jump up on stage unless they've been given permission. To that as well, if you were moderating a session and you did have some people up onto the stage, they've also got as a moderator, you've also got that ability to remove them from that stage as well. So there will be a red circle where you can just hover over. And if, for example, we used it for a couple of our events and demos where people come on and there's some audio issues, there's feedback or something's not working, and it sort of disturbed the rest of the session. So we'll sort of just let them know that, Mike, if you can please just connect some headphones or close a few of those other tabs. And we're just getting a bit of feedback. Once you've done so, we'll bring you back up onto the stage, just request to join again. So yeah, it does give you that ability to sort of, if there is someone, or the other obvious one is if, someone's being disruptive in the session or dominating too much or something, you once again can remove them as well. As you can see there on that screen, the session, each session has its own session chat. So it looks like Jodie's getting lots of questions and a lot of conversation happening over there at the moment. So yeah, it's specific to that room, which is a great feature as well.
And then the other thing is just a note, and I've mentioned this before. So if Jodie had a website or something she specifically wanted at the top of this chat, so it's very easy, and you can see me do it right here. I can pin that message right there to the top. So it could be anything that she'd want to talk about or anything your speakers want to specifically speak to. Maybe it's a document, maybe it's a website, maybe it's a video, but you have the ability to do that as well. And if everyone can see the cursor, my cursor is right over, that's how you would remove someone. Another thing that's really great about this is you can see as a presenter how many eyeballs you have on you. So if you see over to this top right, there is 23 people currently watching this session. So she knows that she can talk to those people. She knows, oftentimes what you'll find, and I saw this because the sessions work very similar to the booths, and we'll go into that a little bit later, is that you'll see that you may have, 4 or 5 people on the screen with you, but you may have another 25, 30 watching just inside the booth. And they may be active in the chat. They may not be saying anything. And it's similar to the thing of, you have 25 people watching a stage show, but only 1 or 2 will ask a question. So that's the way you've got to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much the sessions side of things done. As Mikey sort of mentioned there as well, the booths are very similar. I'm gonna skip past Equity over to.
Although one note before we do go on, in the sessions you do not have the ability to play pre-recorded content. So that is one of the negatives of Hopin. The only way to do pre-recorded content there is if you did a screen share or something like that. I'm actually gonna, speaking of which, stop my screen share right now to bring us back to normal size. But I think that it's important to mention that you're unable to do that live or sort of recorded video content in that section. You do have the ability to do so through the main stage and through your expos, but again, not through the sessions.
Yeah. And one other thing to mention, Mike, you mentioned on there, you can see, and this is unfortunately in every room that you do go into, one of the sort of lacking functionalities of Hopin is you're unable to, unless someone asks to join or mentions in the comment, you can see how many people are in the session or see how many people are in the booth, but you don't know exactly who. So you're unable to get a list of people, so it makes it a little bit hard. You can just be like, you can keep your sort of intros and your comments sort of generic. You'd be like, hey, I know there's a few people watching. You're welcome to come join me on stage, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, you're not able to get a list of people of exactly who's in your booth, unless they comment or unless they ask to head up onto your screen there. The next one that we'll talk about.
Sayori, and I'm sorry if I've said your name wrong. 1, try to refresh, and 2, make sure that you're using Chrome or Firefox. Often Hopin has a trouble with Internet Explorer and Safari. So if you can use one of those 2 other options, you'll probably eliminate that issue that you're seeing. And that's one of the issues that we have with Hopin, is that it is not transferable to all platforms. The positive is it is an HTML, it is a website, so it runs on your phone just as well as on your computer. We find that it could also be, yes, David, you are right, it could be a bandwidth issue, but often we find that it's really mostly the Internet Explorer or browser that you're utilizing.
Yeah. So in terms of the Expo section now, the main difference between an Expo booth and the sessions are the Expo booth. You can have up to 10 people on screen at any one time. That is one of the main differences. Secondly, it does give you an extra tab there. So you do have a sort of a booth tab, which all of a sudden does pop up. That's where you're able to input the company description. And once again, welcome to go and see this once once the stage is done, so you can have a sort of a bit of explore around. But it's got that booth tab, which will take you there straight away. Gives a company description. People are able to preload a video if they've got something housed on YouTube or Vimeo. We can link that straight away to a video that will play once people arrive to your booth, which if you're set up like that today. Or you can have an ability where it's a session, so you can man your booth, so to speak, depending on what sort of event you're running. We'll have those capabilities there. So Mikey's just opened up here the MKEM booth, which is being looked after by Osana there. So also on this screen there, if Mikey just clicks back on that booth, you'll see that blue button that says visit website. That can be completely customizable. So that can say whatever you want. And one other component which isn't included in there, if there's a specific event promotion that someone's offering, like, hey, visit my website, everything's 10% off at the time during the event. So visit website, use this promo. You can also sort of input that sort of information there. Once again, like what we said with the session, Asana's the moderator there. So if anyone wanted to jump up on stage with Asana, she'll see that pop there and then they'll bring them up. And as well, it's got its own booth chat there. One other thing, just keeping an eye on time as well. So the people tab, which everyone would see on their top right-hand corner, and I know Mike, you spoke about it in his presentation earlier. I'll quickly sort of brush over this, but this has been a sort of a very important tool during events, especially for the event organizers as well. It is a great way to communicate with the attendees. So myself, I've had a couple of the attendees just working out a couple of issues, just let them know that I'll message them in that people chat, and you're able to sort of communicate with that person one-on-one. You're also able to even have a video, one-on-one video, which is pretty neat as well. So,
and further to that, Scott, and sorry to jump in here. So, you know, what I've showed you guys is a very basic way of utilizing the camera. One of the great things about Hopin, and one of the ways that it necessarily wasn't built for, but we have shoehorned it in, is I have the ability to set up multiple cameras. So for example, if I was a store and I wanted to set up one camera showing the entirety of my store and all of my selections, and I have a second camera that's my cell phone where I could talk directly to the customer, or it's my laptop where I could talk directly to the customer and walk around. So there's very neat and engaging ways you can use this video function. And really what I love about this 2D environment and this video function is the ability to showcase, and like Scott said, really recreate that connection with the end consumer or your customer that you're missing from not being live at a show. And if you want to see a very good example of how to utilize your booth outside of a video or something like that, Sheila right now inside the BBW booth, when I was in there, had 15 people watching, had 4 people up on stage. They were having a great conversation, and it's just like at a live show. If you start having a great, interesting conversation, people will stop in. They'll have some questions that'll lead from that. They may have some buys that like they got from the customer that you're talking to. Your great conversation led to a conversion or a sales conversion for that person who happened to be watching in the background, just like they would be at a show.
And sort of a prime example of that as well, Mikey and I, we managed the Sport Card Expo, which had over 50 exhibitors, and that's an event that you know, people are displaying. It's very much a booth sort of setup style event, so people are displaying their cards, their memorabilia. So it was really great to see different creative ways. It was the first time it's ever been virtual or anything like that has been virtual. So there was definitely, it was a 2-day event, and we saw some changes that people were like, okay, different camera angles, different lighting, you know, utilization of a second device, a camera to really show off their product and their booth. So yeah, it's not just a platform that is great for sort of like more of associations and sessions and stage presentations, but the Expo function, although it has its limitations, there's some great capabilities. I think some people get a little bit frustrated with Hopin and some of its limitations, but then again, it's also it's got its boundaries. But that's also one of the good things about the platform, is because it doesn't take much to understand what you can do. So you know, if there was constantly yeses and different things you could do, trying to navigate it people through the platform would start to get challenging, because you know, as we've said, it's this whole virtual side of things is new for everyone, not just the organizers, but you know, and not just the attendees, but the expo, the booth owners as well. So there are some benefits of the fact that there are some limitations to it as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, you have to be creative in thinking about it and approaching it, and that's going to be important for your exhibitor. There's also lessons to be learned from YouTubers and Twitch streamers out there on how to make your video content more engaging. So I pulled up this software called OBS Studio. It's a free piece of software used by a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers. I'm still getting used to it, but it's a great way for you to overlay. Say I was having a sale or I had a special or something like that. I can overlay a lower third or images. I could make this a custom graphic where, you know, my MKEM logo would be hanging in the corner. And that's some of the things that for our clients, that's a very important piece. So there is ways to be very creative. It may take a little effort, but it's worthwhile. And we find, you know what? This was a great platform for people to engage and purchase it. That was the big difference is, you know, there's some slicker looking platforms out there, some nicer looking platforms. This was great for creating conversations. And in the end, it did not create a barrier for purchases to be made. You know, and what we did was we made sure our Expo members were as ready as they possibly could be. Now,
one of the other benefits as well, and sorry, I'll quickly brush on networking, which I think you're all familiar with. It is very much like a chat roulette, as Mikey loves to describe it, but really there's probably no better way to describe it, in all honesty. So yes, if you haven't checked out the networking, you will need to enable your video and audio to do so. But that is a fun function. So to get involved with, especially within an industry association event, similar to something like this. Yeah, it's a great way to connect with other people within the industry. The other, and I'll sort of go back from an organizer's point of view. So if you're looking to sort of run an event through this, you do have a lot of power in terms of control over the event. So during our Sport Card Expo, we had people sort of trying to post their own personal links within the event chat. As the event organizer, you're able to delete any comment that you see on any of the chats anywhere. So you're able, if there's something in a booth or in a session or on the main chat, it is simply a click of the button. I hover over any comment and I can delete any comment that it's got the rubbish bin icon there, which I can delete there. So that's great. From a back-end point of view, we moved the time slot for this. Once again, it's very simple. I'll actually show you a quick, I'll screen share this quickly to show you a quick view of the total back-end side of things. So this is just a demo that we ran. It's not this event, a demo that we ran in the lead up to this event, actually. So it gives you, once the event's completed, it does give you down the side here, stage summary, which will have all the stage recordings as well as the sessions recordings there. You can see the results of the polls. And then also through here, it gives you some basic analytics. Would love them to be a bit more in depth, but they can give you a sort of sign of, you know, what sort of devices people using, where their people have signed in and registered from, and everything like that. Whilst the event is going, if there's a change, for example, that we had to do, it's very simple for myself, which is just a couple clicks from a back end side of things, a quick change of the time, a save, and then it can literally be changed in 30 seconds. If something's, you know, running overtime or something's, you know, there's a technical difficulty with one of the speakers, a simple message in the chat, as you've seen myself and Mikey do throughout the day, and it goes through from there. So yeah, that's a bit of an example of the back end side of things there.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, is that you do have the ability as the show producer to really have that control, or whether you hire someone like Scott and myself to help onboard it. And you know what? Again, we love that aspect because we're not stuck with, I have to call my rep and then my rep has to come and tell me how to do it or has to do it for me. We can solve those problems right away. So it was really good with that. It's a good functional platform in that respect. you know, and that's why we've been using it. It's also cost effective. I mentioned that before. That's why I'm utilizing this platform for this event. We were able to do this free for the entire community. And we felt it really is a good platform in terms of ease of use, connecting people, and creating conversation, which is, again, really what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another note is for exhibitors as well. We're able to, from a back-end point of view, we sort of created a form for the sport card show, which had all the information. So they just need, from an exhibitor ease point of view, they input the information. And as there are, you know, some limitations in terms of, you know, how creative you can get, you know, we share the image sizing, those sort of everything that they need to know. We'll send them the form. They complete that form and send it back to us online. And then we build the booth from a back end side of things there, which is great. So,
and I just wanted to answer Linda's question. So Linda, and I think I'm asking and I'm answering it right, is your question is, can you open multiple tabs and watch multiple things at once? Yes. The answer is yes. It may get a little bit noisy in your earphones or your computer when you do so, but just like any other website, like, you know, think of yourself shopping around, you know, Amazon. You can have multiple Amazon tabs open at once and be in different areas at once. So same thing, the ability to do so. We just try to tell people not to have multiple tabs open just because you forget about one. Then it is in the background. You're trying to have a conversation and someone else is talking in your ear. So yeah, if that answers your question, let me know.
And I guess that from quick, just looking at keeping an eye on the time there as well. So yeah. We're pretty much, if there's any questions, please feel free to post it. That was a very quick run through of the platform. One other thing that I would mention, if you are looking to run an event on Hopin, I'm not sure if Mikey mentioned it. He may have in his presentation prior. Once the event is actually up and running, depending on how big the event is, it is important to have staff and bodies and sort of people that know what they're know the system to be able to sort of help navigate. We try to, for an attendee side of things, we try to we send out sort of onboarding documentation and best practice sort of things, as well as to the exhibitors. So we sort of have those sort of documents on file. Which is great, and we shared to those people to make sure, try and limit the questions once it comes to event time. But it's just like any other, the similarities between a virtual event and a live event in terms of day one are very similar, which I'm sure you can all relate to.
Yeah, lots of running around, lots of problem solving, and that's why it's important to have those staff on, and that'll happen with anything. You know, and I think the key for us on why we landed here is, again, that we have the ability to run as many demos as we want or things like that. So if anyone's out there today, you're looking for information, you're going virtual. I know we have, Scott and myself have a packed day tomorrow. I know our Wednesday and Thursday are a little more free, but if you want, please feel free to reach out to us. We've actually put together virtual event consulting group where we work with a couple other really smart colleagues to put together your event. We'd be happy to demo either this platform or any of the other platforms we worked with. You know, we're showcasing Hopin right now because that's the platform we're using. But just to let everyone know, and as I mentioned in my demo, we're platform agnostic. We are happy to use whichever platform that you feel comfortable. We may have some suggestions for you just based off on our research and what fits best with your needs and your show and your goals. But yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to write to Scott, myself, Osana, who's in the booth, and we'll get right back to you. Without further ado, I think next coming up, we have conversations with convention centers, right?
Yeah.
And
Should be
thanks.
live, I think.
It's live right now. So thank you, Laura Purdy and Lerna, for making that happen. Any other convention centers who are out there, we'd love to hear from you as well. Please feel free to join that conversation. Anyone else, please, like I said, feel free to ask us any questions. We're here for you. And thanks again for coming to Rethink 2020.
Thanks, guys.